This is the one that...
A British man resident in Singapore has described fearing for his life after being attacked by a pack of wild otters. Graham George Spencer suffered 26 wounds on his buttocks, legs and fingers while on his usual 6 a.m. walk in Singapore Botanic Gardens. He said the around 20 otters biting him felt like a staple gun and that he fell to the ground.
When I laid there, it was like time had stopped, and I just kept thinking, surely I'm not going to die this way. Is this how I'm going to end? What will my kids think? And I just thought, gosh, no, I've got to get out of this. And I literally, it probably only lasted 10 seconds, but it was as if time stopped, and I just was going over all this thinking, I've got to get up.
Animal welfare groups say it's rare for otters to attack humans unless they feel threatened. Spencer said he thought the animals mistook him for a runner who stepped on one of the otters in the dim early morning light. He escaped after a friend ran over and pulled him away. Now Spencer hopes authorities will put in place measures such as more solar-powered lights along the pathways. He added that a doctor told him that most of his wounds would become permanent scars. Singapore Botanic Gardens did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Migrants travelling in a caravan in southern Mexico have blamed the Mexican president for the death of 55 people killed in a truck accident on Thursday. At least 160 people were crammed into the truck when it overturned in the southern state of Chiapas. Every month, thousands of migrants fleeing poverty and violence in Central America travel through Mexico to reach the US border. But many complain of mistreatment in Mexico. Leslie Mejia from Guatemala says she blames the Mexican Migration Institute and the president for what has happened.
I
don't know why the president doesn't react while seeing what happens. Maybe it's because he never fought for a dream. He never fought the way we are fighting now. The only thing we want is that he helps us and not put more obstacles in our way. We are already tired after 1.5 months of walking, and he still doesn't let us continue our way.
Responding to the accident, officials from Guatemala and Mexico pledged on Friday to tackle international people smuggling networks, which they blamed for the accident. The Mexican Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard said a regional action group backed by Central American nations and the US had been set up. It will investigate, identify, learn and bring to justice those responsible for the recent crash. There have also been calls by officials from Guatemala, Mexico and the US to align and standardize their migration policies to prevent future tragedies and improve dangerous conditions. Thursday's incident is one of the worst fatal accidents involving migrants trying to reach the United States.
It has been challenging. So I was stuck in Alaska because of visa and weather issues for a month. I was stuck in Russia for a month because of visa and weather issues. And I mean, I was hoping to be home before Christmas, but I don't think that's going to happen anymore. But I mean, it's an adventure, so I'm seeing these spaces from the air. And that is one of the most incredible things, and it's so unique. So although I'm not always allowed to go into the cities and walk around and check out the museums or restaurants, I can always see everything from the air, and it's pretty incredible.
A swarm of tornadoes ripped through Kentucky and 5 other U.S. states in the Midwest and South, killing dozens of people. Officials said Saturday the path of destruction stretched more than 200 miles. Thunderstorms overnight produced an outbreak of tornadoes as the storm moved from Arkansas and Missouri into Tennessee and Kentucky, a state that was slammed by at least 4 tornadoes. The heavy winds derailed a freight train in western Kentucky. Governor Andy Beshear.
This has been the most devastating tornado event in our state's history. And for those that have seen it, what it's done here in Graves County and elsewhere, it is indescribable.
The small western city of Mayfield was among the hardest hit, with cars toppled and buildings leveled. A tornado ripped through a candle factory with over 100 people inside. The roof collapsed, causing mass casualties. A resident directed traffic.
We have a major catastrophe at the candle factory, at the jail, the courthouse, and the #1 fire station. I wouldn't try to go anywhere in this cold.
In Manette, Arkansas, near the Missouri border, a tornado ripped off part of the roof of a nursing home with 90 beds. A roof also partially collapsed at an Amazon warehouse near St. Louis, Missouri. Rescuers searched for people trapped in the rubble. Just west of Nashville, Tennessee, in the town of Kingston Springs, toppled trees and power lines littered parts of the highway. The National Weather Service said it had received several dozen reports of tornadoes touching down in 6 states.
In the village of Beit Kahil, men and women are lining up to vote. They're voting in Palestinian municipal elections in a rare democratic exercise in the occupied West Bank. The elections come amid rising anger with President Mahmoud Abbas, who is sagging in the opinion polls. The 86-year-old drew widespread criticism in April when he cancelled planned legislative and presidential votes earlier this year. Abbas previously cited Israeli curbs on Palestinian voting in East Jerusalem to delay the vote, but critics accused him of using it as an excuse, as polls showed he and his party would lose to Islamist rulers Hamas. Abbas, who has ruled by decree for over a decade, denies this. More than 400,000 Palestinians were eligible to cast ballots for representatives in the Israeli-occupied West Bank on Saturday. But voting is not being held in Gaza, where Hamas are boycotting amid a rift with Abbas's Fatah party. Hamas has enjoyed a surge in popularity in the West Bank and East Jerusalem since fighting an 11-day war with Israel in May. The group won student council elections this year at several top West Bank universities, an important barometer of support. Hamas won the Palestinians' last legislative elections in 2006. That laid the ground for a political rupture. Hamas seized Gaza after fighting a short civil war with Fatah in 2007 and has ruled the coastal enclave ever since. The Palestinians seek statehood in the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem, territory Israel captured in a 1967 war. But peace talks between the two sides have consistently broken down.